everyone. Welcome back to Mission Helping Hands' live show with Chapters. This is a live show. My name is Tori. I'm a board member on Mission Helping Hands, and this show is basically a platform for me to interview other people in other nonprofits and spread the word as much as we can for charities across the country. So last month, we interviewed Warren and Kate from the Hands Foundation. It was a great interview, and the Hands Foundation we actually donated to for our 24-hour run. So last June, our 24-hour run, we had a bunch of runners, thankfully. Someone was running the track at all times from 8 a.m. on Saturday morning till 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. We had DJs, games, music, and a barbecue from A&S Fine Food in Oceanside. And it was a really great event. We raised a lot of money, and the donations were split to the Hands Foundation and another foundation called The Retreat. So today, since I interviewed the Hands Foundation last month, I thought it would be great to interview someone from The Retreat. So I'm going to bring on Susan to talk about The Retreat and everything that they do. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Tori. Thanks so much for having us.
Of course. Thanks for being on. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you.
Good. So why don't you tell us a little bit about The Retreat?
Well, The Retreat's a nonprofit that operates on the east end of Long Island. We offer crisis and other services to victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. Basically, any victim who's suffering from that type of trauma can come to us for help. We offer immediate crisis intervention, and also long-term assistance.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So at The Retreat, you're out of, you said in Eastern Long Island. Do you only have to be a part of Eastern Long Island, or can people from all over Long Island and the city travel to you if necessary?
Well, as far as our shelter is concerned, we many times take in residents who are from Western Suffolk, Nassau, and even New York City. The idea is that you want to keep the family safe from the abuser, and many times the further you can get, the better it is. Yeah. As far as our other programs are concerned, basically we help anyone in Suffolk County. There are other domestic violence organizations that we share the clients with. Some of them are in Western Suffolk, and there are organizations in Nassau County that also offer the same services that we do.
Awesome. So what is the mission over at The Retreat? Like, what do you guys do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, basically, we try to help anyone who is suffering from abuse or has been a victim of either sexual assault or human trafficking. Many times, the victims of abuse can't always flee. So we're not just a shelter, because we realize that operating a shelter is not all that domestic violence victims need. What they really need is support. They need help legally, and they need assistance in getting benefits that will help them to survive if they've left the abuser. And many times they're still suffering from abuse, even though they're no longer living with the abuser, because they're co-parenting. And that makes things very difficult.
Yeah. And I feel like also oftentimes it's kind of hard for people to understand that maybe you might not think that, your husband or your spouse, your significant other is, physically abusing you, then then you can't come to The Retreat because, I'm not getting, physically assaulted. But, the emotional, when you're co-parenting with someone, even if you may be out of the situation where they can't physically hurt you, if you're co-parenting with someone who's a narcissist or has an abusive personality, that's definitely something that they're going to need to get help on, in either counseling or legal help. I'm sure it's not easy for a single mom who's getting out of a relationship like that to, pay for a lawyer or get out on their own with their children and stuff like that. So I think that is awesome that you guys, help with the legal aspect of it, especially for, women who maybe weren't employed when they were married.
Yeah, exactly. And you brought up two really good points, Tori. The first is that many times people are misinformed about what domestic violence is. It's not just physical. Physical abuse and sexual abuse in a relationship really happens when the abuser needs to have that ultimate control. But there are so many other ways to control a victim. Many of it's financial, and many, like you said, is emotional and psychological.
Yeah.
So many times people don't realize they're in a relationship that's violent or is filled with domestic violence because they don't truly understand what it is. And we also have a whole group of educational programs at the retreat to try and get that message out there. We
Yeah.
interact with teens, college students, also the general public. We work with police departments, medical schools, because we want people to be aware of the signs of domestic violence and the reality of it, which is it's very prevalent and it doesn't always look like the same thing.
Yeah. I feel like it's definitely important. And I found a really good quote while we were preparing, actually. And it said it's about being in a relationship with someone that's a narcissist. So it says you will go from being the perfect love of their life to nothing you do is ever good enough. You will give everything and they will take it all and give you less and less in return. You will end up depleted emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and probably financially, and then get blamed for it. You are not alone. So I thought that, and I was reading through your website and stuff like that and learning and your Instagram and some of the stuff. And I thought that was a really good quote because, sometimes even girls, especially in a younger relationship, they're not really understanding that they're getting mentally manipulated and there may not be getting, it's not always physical abuse that having a conversation with them where you're always wrong or having a conversation where you feel as though you could do nothing right. Like that's the start of all of it when they're manipulating you and blaming you and stuff like that. You should really, like, girls that are watching, you should realize that that's the start of something that can be a lot worse. Maybe it's not always physical is what I'm trying to say. And I thought that quote was a really good quote. And it reminded me of something that you guys have posted on your Instagram page.
Yeah, what we like to do is we try to explain to our clients that abuse is like a wheel, okay? And at the center is power and control because, as you said, most abusers are narcissists, and that's what they want. They want power and control, and they'll do whatever they have to do to get it, whether it's preying upon your emotions, making you feel sorry for them, cutting you off from your friends, controlling the money, controlling transportation. All of that goes into it. And when you look at that wheel, you see that the physical part of it is only a very small part. It's the very edge of it. It's the rim. So that's very important. And you bring up another good point because yes, teens have to be especially careful because they're young and they don't really have experience with relationships. And actually today is the start of Teen Dating Violence Month.
Oh, wow.
Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, because again, a lot of young girls, as you stated, they don't really know the difference between what they think is affection and romance and what's actually control and sometimes gaslighting.
Yes, I agree. I feel like that's really hard, especially for younger girls that may be a product of a domestic violence relationship where they've only seen unhealthy relationships with their parents, or they've seen their mom be mistreated and their mom might not have ever, gotten out in front of them or something like that. It's important for these girls to understand the difference between, my boyfriend loves me and doesn't want me going out with my friends because he wants to spend time with me, and my boyfriend wants me to not be with my friends because he doesn't want me to tell them the things that he does, or he wants total control over me. And one time when Steve was interviewing me on one of the chapters network, they have a show, Kicking Abusive Relationships to the Curb. And that's a lot of what the woman that he had, the guest, I forget her name, that's what she was talking about. She said, like, what happened to her was that she distanced herself from other people around her. And the clip I'm going to be showing after we're done with the interview, it's from a scene like from Grey's Anatomy, which is, a popular show. And I was watching it because I love Grey's Anatomy. It has nothing to do with really domestic violence ever. But the clip that she had after watching it, I was like, wow, that really gives you a shed on what it's like to be in a relationship, and everyone will see it afterwards. But it explains it doesn't start with the abuse. And I feel like if there's anybody watching right now that they're going to be taking anything from there, it shouldn't just be the physical aspect of it, that a lot of these things that you may think are romantic and, he just loves me, it actually is underlying abuse. And I feel like it's very important to get the word out there about places like the retreat where girls who may not know or maybe are embarrassed to even say, or they're scared. Like, I don't want to tell my mom that my boyfriend's mean because what if I love him, I'm too scared. I don't want her to say I can't hang out with him. So a place like the retreat is really awesome for these girls to go to.
Right. And I would encourage everyone to go on our Instagram account or go to our website, because in addition to events that we're holding at the retreat or what we've done to sort of help our clients, we also have a lot of good information about things like that, developments in technology, and making it very easy for abusers to stalk and to
Yes.
and inflict abuse via social media. So those are all things that we haven't faced before 10,
Yeah.
15 years ago. And it's important for people to stay abreast, because as technology advances, the opportunity to control, abuse, and I hate to say, but gaslight someone that you're in a relationship with increase.
Definitely. And I feel like what you brought up with the whole stalking, people use this term very lightly, and I hadn't really like understood it until I've seen it in like people that I know. But a lot of the it's so easy now. Like, if you're, this is something also a lot of young girls should know. If you're getting out of a relationship, as much as you want to be posting where you are and posting what you're doing and getting back out there and meeting new people and doing all those things, it's so much easier and safer to just put your Instagram on private. Delete, maybe you guys have mutual friends, delete them. As much as it sounds harsh, but all of that is just giving your abuser access to seeing where you are, what you're doing, and what's going on, and just keeping them connected to your life. And social media makes it so much easier for them to know what you're doing and what's going on, because all they have to do is click on your Instagram. You may think it's okay to block them, but they have friends, they have family, they have everyone that knows what you're doing, and that just makes it 1,000 times worse. And you're right that the social media, this was never an issue back then. Even really with Facebook wasn't always like posting everything where you're doing. Snapchat, Instagram, you post, you tag the location, and you think it's harmless until, your abuser knows where you are out of nowhere and you didn't tell him and you don't know who told him and stuff. Social media is so powerful. And I think that's so important for girls that are getting out of a relationship like that, to just keep as much as you want private. And I know it's probably hard, especially getting after a relationship, trying to be like, oh, I'm out of a relationship and I'm out with my friends and having fun. It's also better to be safe than sorry.
Right, right. And education is so important, because we really believe at the retreat that we can end domestic violence, that if there's enough education and enough people become aware of it, we can prevent it. And we work even with bars and restaurants in Patchogue to inform people that work at those establishments, hey, sometimes this is will be a sign that someone is in danger of being sexually assaulted, or you may see signs of abuse. We've worked with hairdressers who sometimes are able to see when they're doing someone's hair that there are marks on a person's neck that come from an attempted strangulation. So there's a lot of information that we're trying really hard to get out there, in addition to helping our clients who are living it right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a great idea for you guys to pair with the bars and stuff in Patchogue. And I wish there was something like this in Nassau County that I can get involved in to do to the bars in Nassau County. Because when guys are, not saying it like it only has to do with alcohol, but I feel like it's a lot less likely that someone that's an abuser will slip in front of other people when they're out in a social setting, with alcohol involved and stuff like that. So that's really great that you guys are dealing with that with the bars especially, and of course hairdressers too. It's a funny story because we played volleyball over the summer, and Jeff, who he was actually the chair with Lisa for the 24-hour run, and he selected the retreat to donate to. We played volleyball and he wound up kicking me in like my groin area. So it was very by accident. We both jumped up for volleyball and it wound up getting like swollen. I went to the hospital. So when I went to the hospital, it was like obviously in a more constricted area, like a restricted area where it was, signs that someone may have abused me. And I didn't think anything of it going into the hospital. And then I was texting with my mom because it's during COVID, so no one really could come in with me. And I'm like, it's so weird. Like they keep asking me like, are you sure? And then like I went into the doctor came in and was like, so you got hit with a bat? I'm like, no, I got hit in volleyball. Like, and he was like, are you sure? I'm like, no, like, yeah, I'm sure. And then another woman would come in and then girls wound up coming in and telling me like, listen, like we're with the domestic violence, center of the hospital. And we want to know, like, this is a safe place. And I was like so confused, but it took me a while to process it. And when I got home, I was talking to my mom about it, and I was like, I don't know, like, why do they keep asking me that? Why wouldn't they just give me an x-ray? Like, I was irritated, but I was thinking about it. And my mom was like, listen, Tori, like, if something did happen to you, at least that situation was there where maybe it was a safe place for you, or a girl that's, had something like that happen to her. And now they feel like they're in a safe place because there's no visitors allowed. So the only people there are you and the doctors. So that's a perfect opportunity for someone to have come clean. But I didn't really understand at first, the first couple times people were asking me. But then it was afterwards, I was like, you know what? That's actually really great. And I would never have even thought of that, going to the hospital or doing anything like that. But when you see stuff like that every single day, it's definitely a red flag.
And that shows you the progress that we've made, because
Yeah.
20 or 30 years ago, a doctor wouldn't think or wouldn't feel it was necessary to ask someone if a bruise was inflicted by
Yeah.
their romantic partner.
Yeah, definitely. So what programs do you guys offer at the retreat other than just the shelter?
Well, we offer many programs. We offer free counseling, supportive counseling, especially for domestic violence victims. We also counsel their victims' children and their parents. We offer advocacy in our in the advocacy department that is allows a person who's trained in domestic violence to assist the victim in applying for a family court order of protection, and also accompanying them to court if there is a child support or a child custody proceeding that involves the victim and her abuser. We also allow for interpreting in court systems. And many times our victims have never been in court and they don't really know what to expect. And sometimes having an attorney isn't enough. I mean, I am an attorney, and we also offer free legal representation.
Oh, wow.
But having that advocate there is really helpful.
Definitely.
And definitely there's a need for legal representation. I mean, you brought it up before. It's very expensive to go into court for anything. Even family court, where the fees aren't as expensive, and you are eligible sometimes for legal aid representation. Even then, if you're not eligible, if you're making even just a little bit over the poverty level, and you're not financially eligible for financial aid, you're either on your own, or you have to try and find some sort of pro bono or free legal representation, and that's very hard. So we have a lot of clients. We have a waiting list also, but we have 2 attorneys outside our agency that assist in family court and in matrimonial actions. And then as the staff attorney, I help clients not only with family court and matrimonial cases, but any other type of cases they're facing. Sometimes it's eviction. Sometimes it's it's the sale of the marital home. Sometimes it's enforcing different agreements that the abuser is now violating. So there's a lot involved with legal representation. And again, we also have in the shelter, we have financial empowerment programs, and we have our educational programs as well.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really great. And I feel like something that you just touched upon that I figured was important, how you said that just having someone with them when they go to court, like, not only some of them might not have never been in court, but not only is court intimidating, but being there with your abuser, it might be a little bit triggering if having to go to court and face your abuser, especially if it's for the kids or something like that, and it's not going well, you might be a little bit triggered and upset and scared. So having someone, a friendly face that's not just a legal aid, it's someone that understands exactly what you're going through, not just your situation on paper, which I think is really important.
That's a good point too, because yes, especially family court, there's one big waiting room and you can wait all day for your case to be called. And if your abuser is there and there's no one to support you, then it's very difficult to maintain that strength to come against them, because when they've always pushed you down and you've always been the loser in a situation with them, it's hard to believe that you're finally going to be able to come out on top.
Yeah, especially when you're in a relationship, what the quote earlier, when you're in a relationship with a narcissist and you could do no right and you're always wrong and you're always bad, it's not only being around them is intimidating, but being around them in a situation where, your children's lives and custody agreements, houses, financials, all of that stuff and it would be so easy to be intimidated around them. Not only just being around them being triggering, but something that important. It would definitely be good to have someone around you that's supporting you. And I just feel like a lot of the times like with like a lawyer or an attorney or something like that, or a legal aid, they are seeing all those dozens of cases a day where they don't really know exactly what happened and what's triggering to you. So having someone to support them, I think, is very, very important. So it went like when Mission Helping Hands donated from the 24-hour run, and if other people were to go online and donate and stuff like that, the money would go to legal fees like that and doing and stuff like that. Is that what you guys use the donations for? If someone were to donate?
We apply to whatever we're in most need of. So if it's the shelter that needs help providing for the shelter residents, if it's another program, sometimes it's for advocacy, so we can provide transportation for the clients. Sometimes it's to fund even educational programs. We recently had a story time event where we reached out to younger children because, as you brought up, Tori, it's true. A lot of children don't grow up in an atmosphere where they see healthy relationships. And we want to get to them as young as possible because we want everyone to grow up with that feeling that they have value and they shouldn't be treated in certain ways. And what they may think is a normal relationship really isn't healthy and isn't for their benefit.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably something that's most important that to me that you guys do is these children and these teenagers that are growing up and, seeing unhealthy relationships, whether it's in their home or they're living through it, but they just don't totally understand. A lot of these TV shows that kids are watching, especially the ones that are popular right now, and coming out right now, there's a lot of manipulation in the relationships, and there's a lot of abuse that the people that create the TV shows don't portray as abuse. They portray it as like, oh, like this is like what I want, and this is like I'm not sure what the word, but it's like this is what girls are looking for because it's like the hot thing, like, ooh, this is so hot. That's so hot when a guy does this. But realistically, that's manipulating to the girls. Like those girls are getting like abused and they don't even know it, and it's making it seem like it's such this great relationship where girls are trying to be like that, and they don't, and that's all these girls really know, especially if they grew up around it and then they're watching it on TV, so they think it's normal, so they wouldn't even think to get help. So it was important for us to spread the idea of what exactly like domestic violence is and what abuse is. It's not just when you're getting physically assaulted.
Exactly. And as you said, media tends to idealize those relationships and make them seem romantic when in reality they're really not. And by educating teens and even children, even college students, because they might not come in a situation like this until they're in college, that there are signs, there are signals, there are red flags.
Yeah, there's definitely red flags. And I it's like a big joke on social media now, like the red flags, like, oh, if he does this, or this, red flags. And it's like a joke. But there is real red flags that girls don't really know about. Like if you and your boyfriend are like arguing and he always like flips it onto you and says like, no, even though, okay, I just saw you texting someone else, like that's not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be texting another girl. Well, you posted an Instagram picture yesterday and you were trying to get attention and you're all this stuff like that. That's signs that it's not a healthy relationship. And as much as the jealousy aspect of it, and that's what a lot of people also think it is, like they think that they're jealous when in reality that's manipulation. Like, oh, I don't want to post this on Instagram, my boyfriend might get jealous. That's manipulation. If he's telling you can't post an Instagram picture like that, it's not because he's protective of you, it's because he wants control over you.
Exactly. Control. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
That's a lot of what I don't think that people understand. And you guys posted something on Instagram yesterday, I think it was, and I had reposted it on the Mission Helping Hands thing. It says, why raise awareness? Many young adults are not aware of how many forms of abuse there are. Most just assume physical abuse is the only type of abuse, making it difficult for them to spot a red flag. Another challenge young adults face while determining the difference between health and unhealthy relationships is communication through social media. Whereas some people think the abuser constantly calling and texting is cute and affectionate, it could also be a sign of manipulation and isolation.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also that ties back to the whole stalking situation where if they're constantly calling and you're explaining to them you don't want to talk, that's stalking. That's not funny or toxic or a red flag. That's stalking, and that's a sign of abuse.
Exactly. And if it gets out of hand, it's a crime. So
Exactly.
it's really not anything to laugh
Yeah.
about. But it's true that, people don't really understand that these things that are, again, idealized and made to seem like that means you have a great relationship, are actually the opposite.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a lot of the times people always say that, and it kind of brings to light, it's brought to light with me a lot with my relationship, where my boyfriend and I have a really healthy relationship and stuff like that. And sometimes people will be like, "Oh, like, is he upset that you and your girlfriends all went out yesterday?" And I'm like, "No, why? Like, we all go out and stuff." And they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, what do you think is normal, that that's not okay, where you're asking me, like, you're shocked that we are in a healthy relationship.
Right.
So I feel like it's important, if you find yourself seeing stuff like that where you're like, why is she allowed to do this or something like that, then obviously it's because there's a red flag being thrown in something that you're used to.
Right.
So if someone's looking to volunteer, how can they go about doing so with the retreat?
Well, they can go to our website, allaganstabuse.org. We actually have a volunteer coordinator. Her name is Maddie Schumann. And by going on our website, you can send her a note saying that you'd like to volunteer. We also have an email address for volunteers. It's volunteers@theretreatinc.org. And you can let us know what you're interested in doing. We have a lot of different volunteer positions. We actually run a thrift store in Bridgehampton, and we're always looking to for people to help work there and help stock it. We sometimes ask volunteers to bring our clients to court, or help pick up things for the shelter. We're actually starting to reach out to volunteers to maybe run a book club, to bring the awareness of domestic violence, in a more normal atmosphere.
Yeah.
Not something where it's a dry lecture where you have to come and we train you on trauma, but something that, like you said, the Grey's Anatomy episode, that's a great way to teach people about domestic violence,
Yeah.
whether it's through a television show or a movie, or a book.
Yeah. And also I think it's a good idea that the book club, with the volunteers that are there, and they are just being around women that have gone through it, and, not necessarily like, okay, I'm going to go volunteer at the shelter. I know I'm going to be around a bunch of women that, have gotten abused. So I'm already prepared for it. If you're in a more social setting where you become friendly with these women, and you're seeing them every day, or in a book club with them every single day, and they become friendly with you, then that would be something good for you you'll actually connect to them on a more friendly basis, and they can maybe help you and point things out to you, and they might be able to even help the girls that are volunteering. But I think if any girls, in your area out in Suffolk, if they're looking to do any community service for, like, their, I know the religious schools require it for confirmation, and if you're looking to put it on your high school application, I think it would be important for these girls who are, graduating high school and going to college to experience something like this, to see what they could do. Because, well, how you said, college is the first time a lot of these girls will see something like that. And yeah, I think that that's really, really important. An important place they could volunteer if possible. So they can go on the website and email over the woman who controls the volunteers if they're interested, right?
And we also have on our website how to get engaged with our programs, our teen programs. We have like a teen council, and we're in a lot of the North and South Fork high schools. And sometimes the donations actually allow us to run these school programs, because if it's not in the school district's budget, we take our donations and use that to help us implement these programs in the school. And prior to COVID, we were actually in the schools. And then when COVID hit, we did a lot of things remotely and through Zoom. So we've been utilizing our volunteers all through COVID, and we've been reaching out through our programs, even through COVID. We've been representing our clients in court. Even though the court shut down for a little while, we were able to represent them virtually, and still sometimes in person. So there are a lot of different ways that teens can get involved.
Okay, good. I'm glad that there's a lot of different options. Maybe if someone's not interested in the thrift store or something, they can do something else.
Exactly.
So lastly, before I let you go, if someone is in need of the services at the retreat, if they're, in an abusive relationship, they think they're in an abusive relationship, they're trying to get out, they're looking to stay in the shelter, something like that, how do they go about seeking help with you guys?
Well, we have a 24/7 hotline. And a lot of times, many of our donations go to helping us run the hotline day in and day out around the clock. That number is 631-329-2200. And again, it operates all hours of every day. If you are in a relationship and you feel that it's abusive, if you need help in any way, with your abuser, or if you're a victim of sexual assault or human trafficking, by contacting us, we can get you help. We do have a chat, the chat ability on our website, but it doesn't operate 24/7. It's limited hours because we don't always have the staff. We're so busy doing other things. We don't have someone to man it all the time, but our website is always there, and we encourage you to, even if you don't feel you may not be a victim, you can call us and ask us questions, or go on our website. We have a lot of information there, but definitely, if you're in immediate danger, always call 911. The police should always be the first to respond if you are in fear. But if you feel as if you're not sure, or you know that you're in an abusive relationship, but you're not at a dangerous point, or in that moment it's not dangerous, call our hotline. We have a lot of safety precautions in place so that if your abuser is there or comes into the house while you're on the phone, we can disconnect and still get in touch with you.
Awesome. Okay, I'm glad that there's a lot of different outlooks for these women to get in touch with you guys. So yeah, just thank you again, Susan, for coming on. But again, just to reiterate, if you girls think that you're in an abusive relationship, you don't know, or you're scared, or you're listening to what we're saying right now and you're like, I think that might be going on in my relationship, I'm not sure, just reach out to them at the retreat, because they're professionals. It's exactly what they do every single day, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's also a great outlet if you're too scared to tell someone in your family or your friends. And also on the retreat's Instagram, when I was scrolling through it earlier today, I just reposted it, but they have so many different things, like what is stalking, what is this, what is that. If you heard what I was saying about the stalking or the social media and you're like, I think that happens to me, go on their Instagram if you're too nervous to reach out to them, and all you have to do is just scroll through and read it. And if you think you meet the criteria or something like that, then you can reach out to Susan. But yeah, thank you so much, Susan, for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Tori, and thank you for your support and Mission Helping Hands.
Of course, thank you for everything that you guys do. So now, before I bring on our next guests, I'm just going to show the clip we were talking about from Grey's Anatomy. The clip is from a scene where two of the girls both dated an abusive guy, and there's something that happens or whatever, but they start talking about how they got into the abusive relationship, and you'll see after that. But I think it's a really great clip that explains how girls may feel and how they get into those relationships. If you don't understand how like, you're listening, like, why would those girls allow themselves to get into that situation? This clip does a good job of explaining it. So we're going to play it for you guys.
Wait, I was in the hotel. He got mad and went for a walk and told me to stay put. It wasn't you?
I swear to God it wasn't.
Who do you think did it?
An avenging angel?
Sorry.
No, you don't have to.
I do. I really thought I was better than you. I believed everything he told me about you. God, I'm smart. I'm a scientist. I'm a feminist. I never thought that I would end up in something like this. It happened so slow. I stopped talking to coworkers, friends he didn't like. Then my family didn't understand. They got worried, so I just brushed them off and then stopped talking to them too. And then my circle got smaller and smaller and smaller until all I had left was him. And then I stopped believing myself. Things I had seen and heard, things I knew, because he told me I was crazy and I just believed him. He knows me so well, he can zero in on an insecurity and make a whole argument turn on a dime, and now it's my fault. It's my fault again. I'm always the one that's wrong. When he started hitting me, it was just barely a surprise. And he told me it was my fault. And I actually believed him. Until you talked to me yesterday, I really believed him. How did I believe him?
Because he was good to you in the beginning. And on the good days. Jenny, we're not stupid. We didn't fall for someone who beat us. We fell for someone who made us laugh and feel wanted and loved and seen. Paul is brilliant and charming and persuasive. And the good outweighed the bad until it didn't.
So that was just a great clip, and how the actress who plays Joe, if anybody's seen Grey's Anatomy, Joe says to her, and you didn't fall for someone that hit you. You fell for someone that showed the affection, and then that just wound up happening. So I think that's important for a lot of girls to understand when they're thinking like about the beginning of the relationship and how great they were. Joe does a really good job of explaining that and how all that feels. So next, I'm going to bring on the girls from American Dream, Jodi and Amy. So yeah, they're going to be our next guests. Hi.
Hi, Tori. How are you?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks so much for joining tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for the invite.
Of course. So why don't you let us know, what American Dream is and how we met and stuff like that.
Okay, so American Dream Abstract is a title insurance company. We are located on Main Street in Patchogue. We just moved into our new office, our new space we like to call Office Suite Office this past September. We insure residential and commercial properties for purchase and purchase and refinance transactions in all 62 counties of New York. We opened in April of 2006, so we're pretty excited to be celebrating 16 years in business this year.
Wow, congratulations. Awesome.
Thank you. So you and I began working together a few years back, doing some refinance transactions with Meadowbrook. And I think our relationship has grown since the mission, since the event, the golf event that you guys did.
Yes.
I think we share a lot of common interests.
Yeah.
And goals with the desire to help others. And I've been very impressed by you, Tori.
Oh, thank you.
I enjoy seeing all that you've done and continue to do to help others in need. You're an inspiration to me and to everyone who knows you.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Jodi is also an amazing woman. She's, making me seem out to be this great person, but I work, of course, at Meadowbrook, and I'm a processor, and I deal a lot with the title companies that they prepare. And working with American Dream is always amazing. The girls are so awesome. If you email them, they're always so sweet. You call them, they're always so sweet. They're amazing people to work with. And, we post on the social media and we were following each other. And Jodi had told us that when we started posting for the golf outing, she was like, I really want to, what do I have to do? And this was in the beginning of the golf outing preparations, even though it was like a month to the wire of the golf outing. That was when like everything came together. But so she called me, and we were putting out the feelers for like breakfast sponsor, dinner sponsor, stuff like that, or just whole sponsors and T-box sponsors and stuff. And when I spoke to her on the phone, I'm like, like the whole box sponsor, is obviously the much cheaper option and everything. I'm like, we also have a dinner sponsor, but everyone was like, yeah, okay. Besides Meadowbrook and of course American Dream, she's like, I'm going to sponsor the dinner, which was such a substantial donation. And we were so thankful for that. And we were able to use those funds for so much in the outing and our donation. We wound up donating $15,000 to the Heron Project.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was just, honestly, that was probably like something that eased my mind so much when you're trying to get donors and stuff like that. And I talked to you on the phone and I was so worried because the golf outing was very special to me because it was in honor of my cousin who passed away and my best friend's brother. Mm-hmm. And when you called me, I was so emotional. And I remember we were in a Mission Helping Hands meeting talking about the golf outing, and I drove everybody crazy. I'm like, guys, we need donations, like all this stuff. And I stepped out to take your phone call and you were like, yeah, I'm just going to be a dinner sponsor. And I'm like, ugh. And I was like brought to tears when I went back into it. I'm like, guys, we have a dinner sponsor. Like, we're good. This covers so much stuff. Like, we're great. Like, so it was really awesome. And I was very thankful for that. But yeah, you guys are awesome over there and you guys always help me work wise. And I'm so happy that we're now building a more relationship other than professional because we do have the same interests. And we'll talk about that later, how you are doing other things. But besides just Mission Helping Hands and how you donated to us, I saw you guys did a lot during Christmas, like charitable. What other charitable things does American Dream do?
Well, we've always enjoyed the opportunity to sponsor events such as we did with the Mission Helping Hands. In the past, we've made and donated gift baskets for local nonprofit organizations for networking events and fundraising events. We've donated backpacks filled with school supplies for school students for the Love Day in Mastic Beach.
Oh,
We
awesome.
held our first clothing coat drive this past winter. We were able to donate bags of winter clothing to a local church here in Patchogue.
Oh, wow.
However, this past December, we were honored to host our very first Dream Big benefit, where we were able to fundraise $10,000
Wow.
to donate to a local nonprofit organization, Helping Makes You Happy. It was just an amazing event, and it feels so good to do good and to give back to the community. And we're looking forward to hosting 1 or 2 benefits annually to raise awareness and to fund other nonprofit organizations as well.
Awesome. And of course, let us know when the next time you have one. The holiday season for us was chaotic because we also did the Adopt a Family. I don't know if you guys have one out because I know you guys are primarily in Suffolk, but there's a Nassau County church by us that they actually team up with a church in Wyandanch. And the kids give their Christmas lists to us, and you get their holiday dinners, and you get
Absolutely.
Yep.
Would love
It's
to be
awesome.
involved in that.
Yeah, it's great. And we did that for the holiday season. So it was a lot, but definitely next year if you guys have your holiday benefit, we'll definitely buy a bunch of coats and everything else that you guys need so that we can help.
Yeah.
But that's also something that's really awesome. And the Hands Foundation, actually, they were on last week. They do something like that. It's a toy drive. And myself and my mom actually went with Jim from Mission Helping Hands. And we went into Queens, and they did toy drives, like basically like a Toys for Tots, where they put the toy drive boxes everywhere.
Okay, yeah.
And then they brought them to all the schools. And we were like the elves. And the kids came in and you gave them like their bags, and the kids got to go Christmas shopping and picked gifts that they wanted. And it was in underprivileged, cities and schools in New York. And that was like, I've been doing the Adopt a Family for 5 years now with my mom and with Meadowbrook and Mission Helping Hands. And, it always feels great when you're getting this stuff, but seeing those kids, it was just so amazing. And I can't wait to do something like that again this year.
Yeah.
But something like that was just awesome. And it was so fulfilling. It was probably out of everything we did with Mission Helping Hands, besides the outing, that was probably the best thing that I've ever done charitable wise, just seeing
right. Yeah.
faces and stuff like that. But it was awesome. But how did it feel sponsoring the golf, when you saw the golf outing and photos and stuff like that, and hearing how successful it was in our donation? How did it feel to be a part of something like that?
I mean, it felt amazing. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, as you know.
Yeah.
But
you said your son, Robert.
Yeah, I was there, and we also had another account representative, Michael Quinn.
Yes.
He was there to represent, the dream team and our support. They enjoyed the day of golf, and they said the dinner was amazing. You did an amazing job.
Thank you.
There they are, the boys.
Yeah, there they are.
We felt very lucky to be involved. We were proud to be a sponsor, and I'm glad after hearing you, say that you were worried and looking for that we were able to do that for you and make it all come together.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure you guys felt that when you were planning your events this year. It's just a lot when throwing a golf outing itself, you have to make the money to pay for the outing and then make a sustainable donation. So the whole time I'm like, I'm going to throw this huge thing, and what's the donation going to be? Where's going to be the money?
All the money to, yes. Yep.
Exactly. It's not something that I guess when you start, when I started planning it, because my event was the last event. So the other events were we had a bar crawl where it was $50 to register.
Yes.
We paid $10 for the shirt. You got a free shirt. The $40 went to the donation, and the bar crawl, you paid for your own drinks. It was just discounted by being in the bar crawl. So you already knew you were getting however much money it was, say $50, and say we got $40 already from everyone pre-registered. So that's what I was seeing. And then we started planning this golf outing, and I'm like, where is the money coming from? Where's the donation? It's just a lot. So when you guys donated, it was I was so happy and so relieved. If you ask anybody, Jeff and everyone, I ran in. I'm like, guys, press forward. We have something that will make me feel. And I know that East End Sign Design made the friend of ours, they actually did the signs for a discount for us. So they're out in
Oh, they did
Patchogue.
for you. I didn't realize they did. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did
Jodi
the
told me that. Okay.
tee box and the whole sponsor signs. They made all of those at a
Oh,
discount for the event also. So they're
That's
also
what
a
they
great.
did for us too. Yep, they
Yeah.
did the same thing for us. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
awesome.
They're awesome over there. So
yeah,
that's awesome. But yeah, it was great meeting everybody at American Dream because I don't like we're out in Westbury, so we won't really see anyone.
yeah.
But yeah, that was awesome. And it's so great to see that you work with your son. I work with my mom. My mom's my boss. So I felt for him. I'm like, oh, so your mom's your boss. That's welcome to the life.
You did tell me that you said, so I allotted 30 minutes for you to speak.
Yeah.
And he was like, Mom, I can't speak for 30 minutes. I'm like, just 5 minutes, just 5 minutes.
Exactly. I said that to everyone too, even like the owner of Meadowbrook, how we presented him his. I'm like, just so you know, like just say a few words. He's like, a few words, like how many words? What do you mean? I'm like, I'm joking. I'm joking. But as soon as I did, I walked over. I'm like, so do you have your acceptance speech prepared? He's like, acceptance? What are you talking? But yeah, I like to mess with
his first outing for American Dream. Yeah, he's so he is actually still in college. He's doing his master's, but he's been on with American Dream for a few years. He started when he was in high school, so he's been with us now for 5 or 6 years. But that was his first outing for American Dream.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm glad it was Mission Helping Hands. It'll always be one he remembers then, and hopefully it comes again this year.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like that's awesome too. I started in high school working at Meadowbrook and not at Meadowbrook, another mortgage company actually with my mom. And I was going to school for teaching. And the reason why I got into mortgages was my cousin passed away. And my cousin was 2 years older than me. So it hit me very hard. My mom was like, you're going to come work with me. And that way I'm with you every single day. So you're not sitting in your room all the time. Wow. So the summer after, high school, that's what I did. And I was going originally to school for teaching. And afterwards, I was like, I don't know. I think I kind of like doing this. So I changed my degree to business, and that's how I got into mortgages. And, wow. I work with my mom now full time. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So what is it like being a woman in a leadership role in your position?
Well, it's very rewarding. However, I feel it's not always about the role, but more about the goal.
Yeah.
The goal of getting the job done right and done with pride. I've always taken the team approach. It always feels good to encourage my team, telling them they've done good and encourage them to do better and do more. But my employees and I share mutual respect for each other. I feel that I'm above them, and I truly know and believe in my heart that I wouldn't be here today, and American Dream wouldn't be what it is today without my amazing dream team. I always lead with my heart, which I've been told, is not good for business, but it's gotten me to where I am today, and I'm pretty proud of where I am today.
I think you should be, definitely, and I think that you're, what you do not only at American Dream and just outside of American Dream, it's amazing, and it's something to look up to for a lot of young women, especially how we were talking about how some people don't have things to look up to. I was talking with Susan, like someone like you is a great role model for someone to be looking up to, especially if they don't have someone like that in their home, which I think is very important. And I'm glad that you're on and able to speak about it for everyone to hear. So why don't you guys tell me about the new program that you guys just started, the Women in Business program?
I'll let Amy take that one.
So actually, we started originally back in March of 2019, pre-COVID. And basically when we started, it was like a women in real estate group, obviously, because we're part of the real estate team, kind of the silent partner. So we met with Lori Davis. She is a hard money lender. She had come to us actually to get to know us as a title company to do some business together. And we sat down and had a meeting and just were talking. She was involved in a lot of networking things. I've done a lot of networking initially with American Dream, just trying to, get our name out there, start building the business. So we both had a lot of experience. And when we met, we just decided, why don't we start our own group? So we talked about it, and Jodi offered to host and have the women's group at our office. And it was a great group. We had a nice core group of people. It didn't get too big. We had a couple of people visit here and there. And then, of course, when COVID hit, everybody was afraid to meet in person. So we kind of shelved it for a bit, but we had a lot of great core relationships with women from that group that we stayed in touch with, that we built working relationships with, and, you know, continued those even through that. And then, as Jodi mentioned, we had a move. We moved to this big, beautiful new space here in September. When we got here and finally got settled in and got our long-awaited conference room table, that took a bit longer than we would have liked. You know, we said it was a great space to meet and bring back the women's group because we really missed it. You know, keeping in touch. A couple of people reached out. You know, people are getting back in touch now. You know, have we thought about redoing the networking group? And so we contacted Lori and just said, hey, you know, let's put it back together. And we actually had a meeting of the minds with her initially just to say, you know, so much has changed during this time as women in business. You know, you have women who are now working from home, who have families, women who are also trying to manage school for children. So a lot of things changed during that 1.5 year, 2 year period almost now, that we actually renamed the group to Women in Business Thinking Outside the Box. Oh, wow. And we wanted to expand that to just say, you know, although we're in the real estate industry, there are so many other women that offer value to a group that we wanted to open the invitation to just say, you know, who are you and what do you do? And how can we help you extend your business? Because just as we've been talking about, when you help others, that help also comes back to you.
Yeah.
You know, when you give, it comes back in return. And so that's what we wanted to do. So we opened the invitation to any woman in business who wanted to come out and learn. And it's all about building relationship. And that's really what was the core of that group, was building relationships with women, really expanded our own, you know, personal American dream business just by keeping those relationships and then further expanding to, you know, other people outside that group.
Yeah, and I saw, because I'm on the emails, because I'm going to be coming in the next couple, like whatever you guys are going to be coming. But I saw recently, because I was on the email chain, that like someone wrote, like I think it was maybe today, a girl was like, hey, by the way, whoever, it was something, I think an insurance agent. She's like, I had a client that needed an insurance agent. I sent them your way. Like, that's awesome for us to do and give to each other and other women to support each other. And it's also important how I was talking with Susan, maybe some of these like people, they're not comfortable speaking with a male, or they're intimidated or something like that. And they'd feel more comfortable with a woman. If you have an insurance agent that's a woman and you're like, wait a second, I know her. If you're comfortable, we're an office full of women. If you want to stick with another woman, here's her. And it's great to have a network of women that you trust and are all looking out for the same thing.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, all have the same best interests at heart.
Yes, absolutely.
But so how does it feel being surrounded by so many women who are successful in business and women who have such strong, you know, personalities and businesses?
It's great. It's very encouraging. You know, I don't think that we see it in the day to day. I mean, here personally, you know, a good part of the American Dream Team is women.
Successful.
You know,
women,
it's a woman-run company, and not to fault. You know, we also have Tony here. We have Robert here. Mike, one of our title closers. Yeah, the Brust family, exactly. But you know, it's and our success comes from the business success. You know, it's the team, and that's always how Jodi has been, is the team approach. You know, so that's a good thing. And then I think that sharing that with the women's group, and that's really what we're looking for, is we have such a wide variety of women that come to the group. Not that it's a large group, but, you know, age-wise, where they are in their career-wise. You know, we have one of the women actually with the insurance company, you know, it's her and her husband that started an agency not long ago. They have an infant at home, and, you know, she went and got her license to work a family business. That's wonderful. What a great, you know, success story for them, that he stepped away from, you know, a corporate job and took an opportunity.
She did as well.
She stepped away from a corporate job, and she was just going as like kind of office support. And now she went and got her license. And so now they have their own company. So it's awesome. Really wonderful. Absolutely. To see women grow and, you know, be involved in owning part of a company, you know, owning their own company too, not just being in a corporate setting. So,
And I think it's also important for young girls to see that. Like right now, the guests we had on last week was the Hands Foundation. They have a program called Empower Me, and it's where girls in high school, they come to a corporate office and see all the female leaders or female employees, and they get mentored by them. And last month's show, they were talking about it. And after the show, I was like, I think Meadowbrook would want to do that. And we're actually doing it next Friday. So it's going to be awesome. They're going to come in and we're going to mentor them and basically like hear their concerns about being a woman in the workplace or being a woman going off to college and what they're worried about and any of their reservations and stuff like that. So we're going to mentor them. But just to wrap up, well, since you guys obviously won't be there, what advice would you have for young women trying to make it in the corporate office or a corporate environment? What would your advice be to those young girls?
Well, as you're aware, I'm not in the corporate world.
More of like a business aspect,
mom
like,
and pop as they come. However, I honestly don't feel it matters if you're in the corporate world or if you're in a small, business work atmosphere. I mean, for me, I think the best advice and to succeed, you have to work hard. And anyone who tells you you don't, you have to work hard. Take nothing for granted. Always be honest. Always do the right thing and be confident. Success is not easy and it will not happen overnight. Always give 100% every single time. And surround yourself with the right people. I've surrounded myself with the absolute best. One of my favorite quotes that I've lived my career, by is that you don't build a business, you build people. And then people build the business. And I truly believe that. I feel that was probably the hardest part of the growing process for me. Mm-hmm. To not have the time to do everything on my own and everything myself. I come from a world where I did everything from A to Z, placing the title order, typing the title, reading the title, clearing the title, and then, going to the table and closing the title.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, but I think to really succeed, you have to find the right, find the right team.
Awesome.
Eventually you can't physically do everything on your own.
Yeah.
It's like, so you have to find that right person, the one person that will care the way you care, and be loyal and have the same, drive that you have and want the same success. I always say, DDP. I always say DDP. Determination, dedication, and passion. Passion and, love for what you do. Pick a career that you love and always stay true to you.
Awesome.
If you want something bad enough and you have the determination, the dedication, and the passion, then you'll succeed.
Great. Thank you so much. And now we're actually out of time, so perfect timing. But thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Tori.
Thank you, everyone, for watching.